Welcome to episode 15 of the Long Haul Podcast. I'm Nine, your usual host, and with me as always is Kerry. Hey, man.
Hey, my dude.
What have you been up to this week, dude?
Netflix and chill.
Netflix and chill, or Twitch artifact section and chill?
Oh, you naughty boy.
Oh, no, I went there. So this laughter that you hear in the back is Babybokchoy88. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Yes, yeah.
Hey, man. Welcome to the cast.
Hello. Thank you.
So, Babybokchoy88. Is there a way to say this faster? Can we say Bokchoy or Baby
Yeah,
Bok?
some people don't want to call me baby, so you can call me Bokchoy.
Bok. All right, cool.
Or Ren. That was my other tag that I formerly abandoned.
I think I'll stick with Bok. So,
Okay.
Bok is essentially the guy behind the weekly Mondays constructed tournaments that the community has known for a while. The reason why we got him to join the cast, and unfortunately, I also invited other people, but they didn't show or they were reluctant to talk. But the Artifact Bitcoin League and the weekly Mondays have merged because recently, and as we talked in the previous cast, both were kind of walking towards a crowdfunding model for the organizations, and essentially, you guys thought it would be good to come together since the community is so small. And we're going to talk about this afterwards, but I just wanted to tell everyone that's why you're here. So thank you very much for taking the time to talk to us.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Well, I guess the first thing that I should say is it's not definitely so much of a straight merger as we're just kind of pooling some resources, but we definitely want to avoid saying that it's just a complete merger, you know.
Sure. Okay, we'll get into the nitty-gritty a bit later. I wanted to jump into the news because obviously we spoke about Dota Underlords and we speculated last week. Valve spoke towards the community in a rare appearance to say that Dota Underlords actually does refer to the Auto Chess IP. And what are your guys' thoughts on what Valve said?
Well, first of all, I'm pissed because I want an RPG and I did not want more chess games.
Not realistic.
Yeah. I kind of find the choice of naming kind of weird for Underlords for a chess game, but whatever. I myself haven't played the original chess variation inside Dota, and to be honest, I don't have much of an interest for it. So this is like one of those games that, yeah, it's going to be there, but I doubt I'll ever touch it.
What do you think, Buck?
Well, so my friend NJ Joe was telling me, as you guys probably know him, he loves auto chess now, but what he was trying to convince me of right before the whole Dota, and he called it right before the whole Dota Underlords thing, he said Valve are gonna do that. They've been focusing on that this entire time. And the other thing that he said is that he really thinks that these games, this is going to be kind of a smaller version of what Battle Royale did to the FPS genre, is that this is what's going to be happening to the strategy card game genre. Is all sorts of different Blizzard's going to make their auto chess, you know. All these different companies are going to get a piece of the pie, and this is going to be a new genre of sorts.
So Valve do admit in their communication, in their statement, that they've been playing a lot for the last 6 months. Let's get this out of straight. I just wanted to say before I keep talking about this that I was not there for the beginning of Auto Chess. I've just only recently played it on my phone because I wanted to experience it because I knew I had to talk about it. I struggle to see how this is going to be a game that's going to be there for a long time. Or how do you see the game progressing, kind of? Because it does become very repetitive, doesn't it?
Yeah. Well, that's just what I hear from a bunch of people. I only have like a combined hour on it myself. So maybe I'm not really...
Yeah. I mean, I'm just kind of thinking to myself, like, how do you release an expansion for this? I guess you can just invent new heroes the same way that Artifact did, but
yeah, but then at some point, I feel like if you just randomly get those heroes every round, if you add too much more, you might run into some problems of I don't know.
I mean, I'm in like 3 hours maybe of auto chess on my phone, and the strategies that I see, even like I keep going up on my rank, but the strategies are very. Everyone seems to be doing the same kind of. I have no idea how it is at the top tier, but since everything is random, it's not like I can decide that I would like to change strategy, but if the cards don't or if the heroes don't show up, it's I don't know. It's an interesting topic. In related news, Tyler McVicker, so the Valve News Network guy, he posted on Reddit that he got an email from Valve saying that the Artifact and Auto Chess teams are different, and this raises another part of the discussion, which is, yeah, the teams are different, but how many people were shifted and how many people remain?
So, but he said that there is a team right now working on Artifact?
I think the answer was literally the teams are different, but
they're different teams is the answer exactly was written.
So the question is the Artifact team working on the auto chess thing or still working on Artifact? And the answer is they're different teams, which is, of course, very vague, but just getting an answer is already something. I would speculate very, very honestly, and 100% speculation, that the Artifact team right now is probably like 3 or 4 people. One of the graphic artists of Valve on his Twitter account wrote that he's working on secret Artifact things, which of course is like fake news. It doesn't say anything, but so he's working on Artifact. I imagine Bruno and Reinhard at least are working on Artifact. But I mean, if you've got a new IP and something new, you'd kind of want to shift things in that direction, right?
Yeah. I mean, until that post happened, if I'm going to be totally honest, I didn't think they had anyone working on it. But I mean, so it seems like good news overall, right?
I guess. I mean, at this point, we're in such a confusing time for the game. It's hard to say what is good and bad news. I mean, everything that's going on, Dota Underlords, the state of Twitch and the subreddit, everything is just a fucking mess right now. And some people are saying it's good that Twitch is blowing up. We'll go to that. And some people are saying it's good that Auto Chess is coming out. I'm very confused. I really don't know how to interpret this. But if I had to bet, I would bet they have a really tiny team on Artifact right now. And then we keep discussing this over on our Discord with Nellen, who's a programmer from redmists.gg. And he strongly believes that a small team should be enough. But then the question is, what are they doing with the game? Because that's what we don't know. Are they just making imp hats? Are they overhauling the game mechanics and so on?
Well, the thing is, you can have a small team, and I know why he says that because, well, I work for a software development company. The core of the game is done. The core coding is done. They're probably changing stuff, and that doesn't require so much manpower. It's obvious if you have more manpower, you'd have it released earlier. The thing is, they don't have deadlines. So they don't require that much manpower to hit a deadline. So I can understand why they would just require, like, I don't know, 4 to 10 people tops, maybe. Don't know. But I would really prefer if they have more, because that would mean the game would come out faster. But that's mainly why Nellen, in my point of view, says that they're probably using a small team.
Well, the thing about card games, and you were saying that you work in software, so you probably know this, but the reason game companies that make other games a lot of times will make their own little card game is because it's very cheap to do so compared to much more graphically visual games. So, as you said, they don't really need a large team to do it. It's more about decision making at this point, natural coding. But I think I've heard this once, that Valve, they don't have deadlines, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, I said they don't have deadlines because they didn't promise anything, right? At least there's no public deadline.
Yeah, well, I've actually heard once that the way they do their company is they just let people work on the projects freely without any. They try to have as little restriction as possible, which is kind of only possible to do because they're billionaires and they own Steam. I mean,
yeah, it is known that they work like that. I believe it's just the project leaders who. I mean, I don't expect the project leaders to jump around, but otherwise, I think if you're fed up with a project, you can decide today I work on something else. Yeah.
What I'm wondering is if Brandon Reinhardt is still working on it. Is one of those few people still working on it?
He has to be. He has to be, man. He's the project leader. If not, they're completely misleading people. They're doing what they did with Half-Life 3, which of course is in the realm of possibility, but. I mean, I don't want to believe that. What is related also to this and scares me a little bit is that in the Auto Chess statement from May the 21st, they say, and I quote, "So in February we flew the Drodo team over from China to chat about the future of Dota," and blah blah blah. Then they talk about how they collaborated. So. Let's situate this. They flew people from China to talk about auto chess in February while they were releasing item changes to artifact and keeping everyone, clueless as to what was happening. This was when, and they do mention it as well, when Valve was complete or Seattle was snowed in. Seattle or Washington, wherever they are. And that was also when, what's the streamer's name? When Life Coach and his wife went to Valve. So this kind of tells us that there was a lot of background movement in February. Do you guys think they were potentially thinking about just, closing Artifact in a box and throwing it out the window, or?
Well, I wish the wording was more clear on that post that they made, because I've reread that 1,000 times, and the wording is so it doesn't lead anywhere. It's open-ended. They're basically saying they didn't really reveal anything, but parts of the text revealed hope, and then parts of it sounded like they weren't going to ever make a comeback.
You mean the significant amount of time statement?
Yeah, they did say that, yeah. The other thing that they said is that they have, as we all knew, they had the next set of cards ready to go, but because of the backlash to the game, they realized that the changes that they were already planning to make wouldn't address those problems, and that they'd be in an even worse situation if they just put out a new set of cards,
Yeah, you guys remember that show that was like How I Met Your Mother? Mm-hmm. They had like this expression where they go like, "You got lawyered." The post is like, "We got lawyered," because there's a lot of stuff written in there, and you can't just get anything out of it.
Yeah, that was some lawyer talk right there.
It's just I cannot help but think that the timing of Dota Auto Chess made them switch gears.
I don't know, because they flew the Chinese company or the Chinese developers that did the mod. And at that time, they probably just wanted those devs to work for them, and they would automatically have the game. And when those guys decided that they did not want to be associated with Valve and do their own thing, probably Valve had to decide and say, "Okay, but we're still going to get a piece of this pie, so we need to get a team and work on it." And that's probably when they kind of decided to split the team. And this is, of course, just me thinking about it. There's no official information about it. But when they had this conversation with the Chinese people and they had to decide if they wanted to be associated or not with Valve and said no, Valve had to get a team of people to work on auto chess. And I think they would not be working on auto chess before that, because by that time we were getting all that, the long haul. We're in it for the long haul. We're still working on it. And then after more or less that time, it's when the big post dropped and we stopped getting feedback. And my idea is that they split or more than split, they like 3/4 of the team that was on Artifact was picked up and put working on what we now know as Dota Underlords.
Yeah, and the timeline fits perfectly, because if you think they went right before Christmas, they wrote to the community and said, like we're our mindsets are in this. We're gonna work, to make the game better. But now it's Christmas time, and then when we come back, we're gonna do this. And then as they go on holidays, Dota Auto Chess comes out. They probably played it a bunch themselves, and they thought, "Whoa, this is something huge here." And then with the simultaneous decline of Artifact, maybe the devs just found renewed motivation somewhere else. I mean, we can only speculate. I just hope that there's at least 4 people working on Artifact. Less than that, they might as well just kill it.
Yeah, it almost seems counterintuitive to work on both games, doesn't it?
It's very strange, yeah. But I have a lot of questions, because, like I said, I look at Auto Chess and I see something that looks like a hype. I don't see this game staying here forever, but who knows?
Well, the thing about it is, it's more about their reputation, because Valve has so much money that how much money they make doesn't even matter to them. I mean, sure, they'd love to make more money, but as all this drama is happening in the gaming industry, Valve is still sitting back counting their money. They're fine. But Artifact is the first game that they've ever had flop, so it's more about their reputation. And by making a new auto chess game, like, pardon my French, but they look like bitches. I mean, they're basically just caving to, as somebody said it, like a garage studio of 5 guys outdoing them. It's crazy. I mean, but if they just make their own auto chess and do that, then it's basically like giving up in my eyes.
Well, I've seen people talking and theorizing about sunk cost fallacy, about how Valve is going to let the game die because at this time the game is completely dead, and investing more money into it is just tainted an emotional investment. But the thing is, they have so much money, like you said, and we all know this because I've seen something about they have the more amount of millions per employee than any other company, something like that. I don't know the exact numbers, but I read that it was like completely ridiculous compared to even like Microsoft. And it's like you say, it's a matter of reputation. They never had a game flop. All games by Valve, everyone loves them. I mean, you look at Team Fortress, you look at Dota, you look at like Half-Life, you look at Portal, all the games, they're like staples.
They also all go free at some point.
Staples.
So that gives me hope. I mean, one thing I keep saying is, if Valve does make this miraculous comeback, the way it'll go down is they do have some sort of comeback power here. They can make it free for starters and then put all the features and changes that they want to put into the game, and that's great. But the other thing is that they can blast it on the front page of Steam for everybody to see, and every time, right when the update comes out, they can make it so that everybody who plays any game on Steam, they log in and they'll see, oh, Artifact is free now, and it got an update. I mean, it's free. That's how people are now. I mean, if it's free, they'll try it. Like, the second Artifact goes free, it might not make a massive comeback, but it'll actually get a few thousand players, at least,
So what would you consider a comeback? Because right now, Artifact has 11,000 viewers on Twitch. So, I mean, if that's not a comeback,
More like a scumbag.
So, as of right now,
your opener, by the way.
Artifact has more viewers than Dota Chess. So, is
Let's go.
Is auto chess dying, guys? Should we invest somewhere else? Should we buy Xcoin right now? What the hell is going on, guys? Just look at this. Look at this. I mean, this is just an audio cast, but look at the artifact front page on Twitch, man. What the hell is this?
So apparently, it started with some big streamer coming in, and there were those one or two guys that were doing the troll for a while, which I think we all noticed sometimes, right?
Yeah, so it's Nim. His name is Nim. I think that's how you pronounce it. I don't know him, but yeah.
We should all learn his name. He's the one who did this to us. Anyway, he's I mean, I get that it's pretty funny to a lot of people, but it really actually sucks for us. I mean, even I thought it was funny the first day. But, I mean, yeah, for anybody not knowing, there's all sorts of just anime trolls, pornography, copyrighted movies. People are just streaming all these taboo things that you can't stream on Twitch to troll Artifact and putting it under the Artifact streams.
Yeah, the porn is where I draw the line, though, because yeah, I mean, lots of kids are on Twitch as well. I mean, I don't have any kids, but I think if you want to play Endgame or play whatever else is on their Full Metal Jacket, I see here, Mafia, whatever, that's fine. But
I was watching some sports on there, actually.
Get back on the porn, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, there are kids on Twitch. You know, I mean, I'd say that's right over the line. I mean, it is a funny troll, but I wonder how long they're going to have the energy to do this for.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, so how does this progress, man? I've never seen anything like this at all. Because now people are coming.
It all depends.
Yeah, I mean, I have friends now texting me saying they're watching Endgame and they don't know anything about Artifact. So, I don't know. This is a niche.
It all depends on how Twitch is gonna take on this problem, because we already spoke a little bit before this. They can't just close the channel because it would be unfair for people who actually want to stream the game or watch the game being streamed. It would be unfair for Valve as the game developer that has a game that gets completely removed from Twitch. And we've noticed that at the first, it was like 3 to 4 random, let's call them trolls, streaming this kind of stuff. And then Twitch went and banned them. And let's just say it's like a hydra. You cut one head and then 5 more come out.
Yeah, exactly.
And now we got like 30 people streaming this trash. And I don't know how Twitch can control this without hurting the game even more.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, there's just brand new accounts they get banned, and then they just make a new account, and they have a IP hider, VPN, whatever, to make it so they can just keep making accounts over and over again and doing it. And it's almost as if it's one of those things, like, once you stop giving them attention, they'll go away, but I mean, these people are loving it. Oh, there's another one gone. Yeah, I mean, Twitch is taking them down by the second, but I mean,
yeah, it's
how much manpower are they committing to?
It's Twitch whack-a-mole.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, in any case, let's see what happens. I think let's direct our attentions to what is really going on in the remaining Artifact community. Let's step back a bit. Let's rewind a bit. Bok, do you want to tell us a bit about yourself as a gamer and how you came to Artifact and how you came to hosting events on Artifact?
I've really just liked competition since I was a kid. I've really, not just video games, but just any sorts of games. Like, I religiously played chess and pinball. And then I love sports too. You know, I love any sort of competition, and I played Magic the Gathering, which, and I also just grew up playing bridge and other card games with my mom, which is how we bonded. So I've always had a love for card games, and Magic hit that first well, no pun intended, but that first magical feeling in a card game that I hadn't got from a playing card game. And I played other card games, and I always liked Magic, but I never wanted to play it competitively. I mean, I was good enough to sometimes take games off of my friend who was a tournament player, but I never wanted to play it competitively because there's so many problems that come with paper card games. And the other thing that allured me about Artifact was hearing Richard Garfield talk about the things that he couldn't do in Magic the Gathering that he was implementing into Artifact, and that was a big thing for them, is doing the things that wouldn't be possible in a paper card game that are in a digital card game. Sure. And I got into it. I've never played Dota before. I seem to be the only non-Dota player in Artifact, but it was just love at first sight.
You're not alone. No.
But I just loved the game, and I couldn't believe, I've never been so sure that a game would succeed before it came out, and had it go so opposite to my expectations. I mean, the whole time I was just thinking, oh, it's Valve. Anyway, but looking on the positive, we're talking about the tournament series that we're doing. So basically, I started up the constructed weekly Monday tournaments when mainline series went down, because at the time, I'm a constructed player. I like draft. Just constructed is my preferred mode to play competitively. But I was doing only constructed for the sole reason that ABL was still giving the draft players something to play. And, our prize pool was just coming out of my pocket, and I'm not rich or anything, so it was pretty insignificant compared to ABL's. So I figured we'd do constructed only for that reason, just because both player base had at least something to play at that point.
You didn't invest in Bitcoin?
No. I mean, I still played ABL sometimes for fun. I qualified for the last main event, but I got destroyed. But no, this is not through Bitcoin, and there's actually been I don't really know much about Bitcoin, but apparently that was a thing of contention for a few people. But no, I did not invest in Bitcoin for this.
I think the Bitcoin problem came when they started asking for crowdfunding, because I, for one, for example, if I wanted to donate for the prize pool, I don't use Bitcoin, so I'd have to set up a purse or something, put money in it, and then transfer money to them. It's just shady for people who don't use Bitcoin already. So
I didn't really know that. In any case, yeah, we're not using Bitcoins for our donations.
So how did the project with ABL? So once Opsy, kind of quit the ABL, what was the idea behind you guys, talking to get a project together?
So they went down, and they were still in talks of crowdfunding their own thing, and I started my crowdfunder, and basically they kind of bailed ship on that idea, and one of the admins over there, Jalabi, messaged me when ABL went down, because they went down, and then they said they weren't going down, and then nothing against them, because I love them very much. Like, all those guys are awesome. What I'm trying to say is I wasn't sure if they were going up or going down, so I was figuring, okay, well, I'm just going to do draft either way, so no matter what happens with ABL, the draft people have something to play to. And then we decided to do kind of, maybe not merge, but join teams and create something new together. So we basically combined our funding, and we're up to 400 pledged for the first month. So that's going to be a $200 constructed event and a $200 draft event. And the whole point of the tournament series for us is to try to take the feedback that we get throughout this first month, and we are very open to changes, and we just want to create the best tournament series for the community. But we need the feedback to do so, and we need people to play.
For sure. I have a bunch of questions, but since we're on the topic already, do you want to explain how the league is going to work? Like, what's the plan?
Yeah, absolutely.
The frequency of events and so on? Yeah.
So our main operating philosophy is to give players, and it's the same that ABL had, is to give players a reason to play every single day if they want to. At the same time, we want it to not just be a grinder's paradise and screw over the people with 9-to-5s, basically. So we've put a lot of work into finding a balance there. But I'll just basically explain the format. So there's going to be daily tournaments at 4, 10 a.m. and p.m. So 4 a day, 4 a.m., 10 a.m., 4 p.m., 10 p.m. And Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, those will be constructed tournaments. And then Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday will be draft tournaments. All we need is 8 players per lobby. If we don't get it, then obviously we skip that specific time. But just like ABL, for all those who are familiar, your points add up throughout the month to qualify you for a main cash event at the end of the month. So you don't win money for winning the dailies, but you win qualification points for the big event at the end of the month.
Can you just clarify if it's Swiss or best of one single elim?
Yes. So this is a 5-round Swiss, and there's a point modifier. So the more you win, the more points you get. But part of the reason we're doing Swiss is so that, say you're 0-4, you still have a reason to try to get that one win in your last game. So it should be providing plenty of playtime for a lot of people. The next part of the format is that for the people who don't really like this grindy format, we will be having 2 tournaments, one for constructed and one for draft on Sundays. And these will just be a straight single elimination bracket. And first prize for all these tournaments will get a spot to that respected main event at the end of the month. And then at the end of the month, the format for the main events are still TBD, but they will be taking place on the 29th and 30th, Saturday and Sunday of this month. And there'll be a Swiss into bracket. So we'll have a pretty long day, but there'll be 1-day events, not 2-day like the ABL. So a little bit smaller, but still a big thing.
So the qualification, is it made similarly to the ABL, which had this website of...
A little bit.
Can you elaborate?
So just like on ABL, we are transferring the bot with a few modifications to our new system. But we will be using the bot system just like in ABL. So you'll be able to track where you are on the website and through the Discord server to see what rank you're at after every tournament you play. And at the end of the month, we'll invite 28 players from draft and 28 from constructed. And then 4 more, so a total of 32. 4 players will have qualified from the Sunday weeklies.
Yeah, shout out to Cat of the Year for the amazing job on the bot and website, by the way.
He's great, and he's the one who did it for us again. So shout outs to, there's 3 ABL admins that I'm working with. It's Kat, Jalabi, and Rip Glenn. And Jalabi and I are kind of working on TOing and logistical and finance stuff. And Conjugate and Glenn are kind of our consultants. And Conjugate is it's really, really amazing what he's done with this bot. I mean, it's so cool, as you said.
Yeah. So thanks to you guys.
So let me just say something. You explained pretty well how the league's gonna work, how the tournament's gonna work, when it's constructed, when it's not constructed, when it's draft. But we've been through all these months now, and sadly, there are still a lot of people that are afraid to go into tournaments. Mm-hmm. And they just like to play casually, and then sometimes they just end up in queues for like 10 to 15 minutes to play against someone's really strong than them and get crushed and then just turn off the game. These kind of tournaments normally bring back the game and show people who still play the game but that don't go to tournaments. The tournaments are kind of like something really fun that people tend to avoid because most of them are afraid to play, or I don't know, they just...
Yeah, totally.
The idea of being a tournament just puts people off. And if you're still playing the game, just give it a try, guys. I mean, it's going to be an adventure. It probably, you won't have queues. You'll have much more fun. You'll be able to play with people that probably are at the same level that you guys are, and just give it a try.
Yeah, well, there's two things that I want to say that I totally agree. But yeah, the daily tournaments and the Sunday tournaments, I mean, it's all to qualify for a large cash prize event. So there's really no pressure when you're in these daily lobbies. I mean, if you lose, then you didn't lose anything. You're still in the running for the month, And the other thing is, that's really why I like the Swiss format, is because when you're 0-3, you play against somebody else who's 0-3, almost when it can, which is usually. And then when you're 0-4, it'll give you somebody else who's 0-4. So, I mean, at some point you will, if you feel like you're a lower level player and you're just struggling against these insanely high level players, instead of just bombing out of the bracket, you'll have some chances to play against some of the other people in your situation and get better, and it's also just a lot of fun. I mean, nobody really BMs very much, and everybody's really nice to each other, because that's something I've noticed when you have a small community like this, is everybody's here out of love for the game, and we all know each other at this point. So, I mean, yeah, it's supposed to be casual, and then the tournament at the end of the month is going to be pretty try hard. But if you're a casual player, we're hoping to be able to fill your void, and for a lot of people, there are still casual players left, as you said, and hopefully this can do it for them.
I just wanted to ask about the final tournaments again. I know there's still some details that are meant to be ironed out, but we're supposed to have a constructed final tournament as well as a draft final tournament. Is that correct?
Yes. They're both a one-day event. They're going to be pretty large. So it will be a Swiss into bracket. So you can count on a good long tournament for the main events. But yeah, one-day events, not two. And there are 2 ladders, 1 constructed ladder, 1 draft ladder, and 2 main events, 1 draft, 1 constructed.
Okay.
It's 2 separate ladders and 2 separate tournaments, but we're just merging the community and the prize pool, basically.
Understood. Any plans for people to cast these events or to stream these events amidst all the gay porn and and the anime?
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, this will give people a reason to stream it daily. It'll give them something to play besides just playing the ladder, because a lot of the streamers, we still have quite a few guys. We got Swellzong, DMZ, NJ, Token, Dreamer. We still have streamers that, I love watching all those guys. Crush Munch. Sorry, Crush Munch. Didn't mean to leave you out. Or anybody else for that matter. It's just the top of my head. I didn't mean to shout people out. I realized once I started, I had to give everyone one. But, we still have guys that I personally love to watch stream. And, it's just kind of hard when I'm sitting there watching them in the queue and, watching them in the game, just playing Global or Gauntlet. It's rough, But the point of this is to give people a reason to play every day, and that gives people a reason to stream every day. It's a little impractical to try to get casters for the dailies, obviously. We haven't really made a lot of logistical things on the commentating field of it, but I would love to have people commentating on the Sunday weeklies.
Yeah, that would be
awesome. Absolutely. The whole main events will be casted, and so it's kind of impractical to have one person or one team of guys cast the whole day or anything. So this is a good time to say, if you'd like to volunteer for any sort of thing, we are accepting donations, but we are also asking people who are volunteering to admin these daily tournaments. If you'd like to commentate on a weekly, or even if you want to try commentating the weeklies and then maybe the monthly or anything, just send us a message or come into the Discord. And you don't have to give any money to play in these. This is totally free, and you don't have to volunteer either. Just playing we are so grateful if you just play. But if you'd like, there's plenty of room for volunteering here too.
the point is, I think that we're trying to bring the community together.
Yeah.
That means casuals, that means tryhards, that means people who want to cast, that means people who just want to play Artifact. Let's all, sit around the fire and make something beautiful for the rest of the long haul. You guys got plans to run this for an X amount of months, or is it going to be on a month-to-month basis, or have you not talked about it yet? Or
so that's something that we're kind of. I don't really want to be too. I don't want to make promises. You know what I'm saying? So it's kind of difficult how I want to answer that question. But ideally, I would love to do this forever. But realistically, we're kind of seeing how this first month goes, and obviously we're not trying to set our expectations too high because we know what the state of things are in, but we think that we can get a solid number of players by combining the ABL guys, hopefully a good amount of them come back, and I'm fairly confident that all of my constructed guys are going to be here because we were playing for pennies anyway, so.
I have to say, based on what we saw today, he just came into the channel and said, guys, there's $250 out of my pocket for grabs. Let's get together and run a tournament spontaneously. And he got 64 people. I think
71.
Actually there were like 71 people. So that was pretty impressive.
Yeah. We were actually talking about that earlier today in our back little conversation of admins. And we saw that as a great sign, like the fact that 71 people are going to come out spontaneously like that. That's awesome. So that makes us very hopeful. And shout outs to Narfme for doing that. Awesome event.
Yeah,
and,
thanks Narfme. Definitely. That was amazing.
Finals are going on right now, I think. Mezelgy and... Oh, who's the other guy? He's still in game, though.
Hey.
Good luck to both.
There goes Mez.
Mez is a boss. Damn, dude, you're killing it.
Mez?
Yeah, man, that guy wins everything.
Oh, yeah. No, he's insane. He's won 3 of my tournaments and taken 2 second places.
He's a pretty cool guy. We had him like...
Yeah, I listened to the podcast. I've talked to him once myself, too. I try not to fanboy him too hard, but I think he's the best player in the game. He's so good.
I think at the moment he's definitely up there.
Definitely. If you are looking into draft and constructed, it's unarguable. It's him. He did win that the last brain scans, and he's won 3 of my tournaments, and that's pretty much all the constructed tournaments that have happened besides the B3H happening right now. So, yeah, he's definitely the guy to take down. Although, I guess Dreamer's probably the number 1 draft player right now, right?
Dreamer's, I don't think he plays much constructed, but when it comes to draft, he's also a very, 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 very solid top player.
Oh, yeah. His decision-making is impressive.
Yeah.
Let me make a quick aside here. Is there anything else you want to say about the leagues or so?
The main points from us are this is a learning process, and we're hoping to enhance things based on the feedback that we get from this first month. And yes, we absolutely wish to keep going past the month of June. And the more feedback and participation we get, the easier it'll be for us to do so, if that makes any sense. And we do think that the player base is still there. The other thing that I realized I didn't mention so much is that we had to make a bunch of decisions along the way, coming up with this format to try to make the grinders happy, and also the people who just want to have jobs and lives and stuff. So we opened up a few more spots. We've got qualification tournaments on Sundays, and we also Cat, as you were talking about, the bot genius himself. Oh, that didn't sound right.
You made it sound like Cat is a bot.
He's a bot. Yeah, yeah. No, he's the bot programmer genius. He's done a great job of. We have a system. It's a mathematical equation of how many points you get for how many more wins. So you are rewarded for the more wins you get. So it should be the same if we've done the math properly as the ABL tournaments, where if you aren't a grinder, you can still show up and just win a couple or place really high in a few as opposed to playing tons of tournaments all the time. We've also worked really hard to get the schedule the way it is. Right now we have it 6 hours apart to try to accommodate at least so that every player can play at one time of the day. Obviously, that's the hardest part, is trying to get the schedule for everybody, but you can only do the best that you can do.
Yeah, I mean, you can only try and then see how it goes and adjust. It's not an easy decision, the time point.
Yeah. I mean, the main philosophy for us is to give people a reason to play the game casually, as you said, but also cater to the tryhards at the end of the month with this epic event, And we are crowdfunding. No donation or volunteer work in the Discord server is necessary to play, and we are happy to have you. But if you'd like, we do have a Patreon that you can donate to. 100% of that money goes to the prize money for the winners to make this event more, because, I mean, for me, I'd play the game every day without any money involved. But as you were talking about, people, I mean, you do want cash at a tournament because it's not, nobody is playing for the money, but it gives value to the match. It makes your blood pump, Yeah,
you need something on the line.
Exactly,
So do you want to plug in your Patreon link? I'll add this to the notes afterwards, but do you want to plug in maybe your social media and where people can find your Patreon and so on?
Yeah, it's patreon.com/let's still play Artifact. Let's still play Artifact, and there's no punctuation in that between the T and the S.
All right.
Catchy.
Carrie, we done? I think we're closing in on an hour. Is there anything that you want to say?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you something that I tend to like to ask people that we talk with in our episodes.
Okay.
Okay. If you could change something in the game right now, in your opinion, what would be the thing that would have more significance into bringing people back?
Making it free. It's the very first thing. Everything else is, I mean, that's the number one complaint, is the $20 wall. People don't want to pay. I mean, that's the model for the card game industry in digital cards, and it has been for the while, is free, and money comes later, but it has to be playable for free. But for me, as I was saying, though, what I loved most about the game, getting into it, was the value of the cards and how, the cards were actual items on the Steam marketplace. People weren't opposed to the cards having value. They were opposed to the $20 paywall to get in, which, I mean, it makes sense. No other card game really does that, and so I think that's the only thing that seems to me to be the initial domino to set all the other dominoes off of the shit posting and everything, because really the economy is not that, if you compare it to other card games, it's dirt cheap, even with the $20 paywall. I mean, you've played Magic's Gathering. Yeah, I don't need to tell you that.
No, definitely. Yeah.
So that's what I was thinking the whole time, that everybody's complaining about the $20 paywall. I'm just thinking, have you guys played Magic or Yu-Gi-Oh or even Hearthstone? I mean, you don't have to buy all these cards. Like, you can buy yourself one deck, even when it would have been $20 or something. Paying $20 for the game and then paying $20 more for the deck that you want. If you tell that to a Magic player or a Yu-Gi-Oh player, like, they'll say, and people complained. I mean, but it's just the way they did it. They didn't need to do that $20 paywall at all, and that was the biggest mistake. But if I look at the gameplay itself, I think the arrows are great, and Richard Garfield talked about that in his interview with you guys. It's necessary. It has to be in the game, or else aggro's basically busted. I mean, they play tested all that stuff. And he's also talking about how RNG is totally not completely away from skill as everybody thinks. I mean, if the creeps didn't randomly drop, and if the RNG that was in the game wasn't there, it wouldn't function properly. And it also wouldn't be. It would be much less skillful and much more boring. It'd be the same thing every time. I mean,
I think that's the thing, is that the game would be super repetitive. Yeah.
I always say everybody who hates RNG needs to go play chess and feel the pain of losing to better players every single time.
And not being able to blame anyone or anything.
Oh yeah, no, you just got outplayed. That's it. You know, it feels bad. But okay, what feels even better than beating somebody in chess with your own intellect is beating somebody in a card game when the odds didn't go my way. You know, when you know the whole I'm facing 3-dimensional portal multicasts, and nothing goes my way. I get a horrible tide flip, everything, bad arrows, everything, but I still pull out the victory. That feels better than anything to me.
You're gonna sleep like a baby that
night. Oh
yeah. Well, man, it was a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining us to talk about your community projects. We wish you guys all the best. I'll take part as much as I can. I hope I can volunteer for a couple events as well, if I manage.
Just playing is more than enough, but thank you.
And thank you so much. If you're still listening to the Long Haul podcast, it would definitely help us if you could leave a good review on the platform that you hear us on. As always, we're on YouTube, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Podcasts, etc. So we are on all the platforms. Join our Discord, guys. Talk to us. Give us ideas. Eventually join our casts if you want to talk to us. That's what we're here for. We want to be the community cast, and we want to be here until the game picks up again. And let's see what happens to Twitch.
I will say, before we go, we have one more weekly Monday tomorrow, and it is the last one at 9 a.m. Pacific time.
Sweet. See you there.
See ya.
And we'll see you guys next week.
You guys next week.